IBM introduces PC Junior.
The world's first 6.5-pound all-in-one camera video recorder from Sony.
How much do you think this advanced operating environment is worth?
The 1980s brought us bold gadgets, wild ideas, and fearless innovation. But not every product was a winner. From high-tech flops to quirky lifestyle experiments, many inventions were ahead of their time. Or just plain bizarre. Curious how such groundbreaking ideas crashed and burned. So, join us today in the exploration of 25 innovative products from the 1980s that failed miserably.
And when you're ready to travel, Macintosh can easily go along. The durable carrying case is strong and waterproof.
In 1989, Apple attempted to revolutionize computing on the go with its Macintosh Portable, a device designed to deliver desktop-level power in a mobile format. Unfortunately, the reality was far less impressive. Weighing a whopping 16 pounds and costing over $6,500, it was hardly portable or affordable. Its lead-acid battery made it bulky and prone to power issues, while its passive matrix LCD screen was difficult to read in various lighting conditions. Although it featured impressive specs for the time, such as a full keyboard and 1 MB of RAM, it was simply too cumbersome and expensive for the average consumer. Apple soon scrapped the line in favor of the lighter and sleeker PowerBook, making the Macintosh Portable an ambitious but clunky misstep. The Macintosh Portable aimed to bring computing on the go, but did IBM's attempt to make home computing friendly for kids do any better?
IBM introduces PC Junior, a bright little addition to the family. Junior comes with bright computer ideas.
IBM's foray into the home computing market with the PC-JR in 1984 was a classic case of misjudged expectations. Designed to be a more affordable and family-friendly version of the IBM PC, the PC-JR instead suffered from a host of crippling flaws. Its famously chiclet-style keyboard was universally hated, expansion was difficult, and software compatibility was limited. IBM also failed to offer a competitive price compared to its rivals like Apple and Commodore. Although it included innovative features like cartridge-based software and decent graphics for the time, consumers were underwhelmed. The backlash was swift, with poor sales leading to the model's discontinuation by 1980. The PC-JR is now remembered as a rare stumble by one of computing's most dominant names.
Coleco's Atom is worth the wait.
Everything a family could need to get started in computing.
About the most revolutionary concept.
Riding high on the success of its ColecoVision console, Coleco launched the Atom computer in 1983 with dreams of dominating the home computer market. Bundled with a printer, word processor, and tape-based storage, it looked like a value-packed option for families. But reality hit hard. The system was riddled with bugs, shipped late, and was infamously prone to erasing tapes upon startup. Quality control was so poor that many units arrived dead on arrival. Despite promising hardware capabilities and an affordable price tag, Coleco couldn't shake the negative press and technical failures. The Atom was pulled from production in 1985, and the debacle marked the beginning of Coleco's decline. It's now a cautionary tale of overpromising and underdelivering.
That's perfect. You know, I wouldn't trade this moment for the world. And thanks to Sound Distributors, I can own this memory forever. Introducing the world's first 6.5-pound all-in-one camera video recorder from Sony.
Sony tried to outpace the home video market in 1983 with its Betamovie recorder, the first consumer camcorder to record directly onto Betamax tapes. At a time when VHS was gaining dominance, Sony doubled down on its proprietary format. While the Betamovie was compact and innovative, it had one massive flaw. It could only record, not play back. Users had to eject the tape and insert it into a separate Betamax player to watch their footage. Add to that the declining popularity of Betamax itself, and you had a product with limited appeal. Despite its sleek design and decent video quality, the Betamovie never caught on, and Sony eventually bowed out to VHS dominance. Ambitious? Yes. Practical? Not at all. Portable video was one thing, But was RCA's obscure CED format ever a match for the VHS boom? In a last-ditch attempt to compete with VHS and Betamax, RCA introduced the capacitance electronic disc, CED, in 1981, an analog video format housed in vinyl-like discs. This video disc system required a specialized player which read the disc using a stylus, yes, like a record player, for video playback. The idea was novel, but the execution was fatally flawed. CEDs were easily scratched, wore out quickly, and couldn't pause or rewind like tapes. Worse, RCA launched it after years of delay, by which time VHS had already cornered the market. Despite boasting decent video quality, consumers saw it as outdated from the start. RCA discontinued the format in 1984, suffering huge financial losses. The CD is now a textbook case of innovation arriving too late.
Want to see Atari's latest contribution to the arts? With the new Atari Artist program and this simple little device, you draw here, and it comes out there. No typing and no programming.
Years before touchscreens became ubiquitous, Atari introduced the CX77 Touch Tablet in 1984, a device designed to bring drawing and creative computing to home users. It connected to Atari 8-bit computers and came bundled with graphics software that allowed users to paint digitally. On paper, it was groundbreaking. In practice, however, it was slow, clunky, and imprecise. The tablet relied on resistive touch input that lacked sensitivity and made drawing a frustrating chore. To make matters worse, Atari's marketing strategy was underwhelming, and very few users were aware of its existence. Combined with Atari's broader struggles during the 1983 video game crash, the CX77 quietly faded into obscurity. Its promise was real, but the tech and timing weren't ready to support it.
Photography by Kodak. It's changing the way people take pictures.
Picture a brand new world.
The Kodak disc camera advances the film automatically.
Kodak aimed to modernize photography in 1982 with the sleek Disc 4000 camera, a flat, pocket-sized shooter that used spinning disc film cartridges instead of traditional rolls. The idea was to simplify loading film and make casual photography more convenient. While it succeeded in ease of use, the camera fell flat in performance. The tiny negatives, only 8 by 11 mm, produced grainy, low-quality prints, especially in anything but perfect lighting. Despite Kodak's aggressive marketing and celebrity endorsements, users quickly realized the image quality wasn't worth the trade-off. Film developers also found the discs hard to process. By the late 80s, the format was abandoned entirely, and the Disc 4000 became one of Kodak's more memorable misfires in an otherwise dominant analog era. Other than that, McDonald's attempt failed miserably. Let's find out how.
Donald's new McDLT. It could be the best tasting lettuce and tomato hamburger ever. You get a hot side hot. You get a cool side cool.
In 1985, McDonald's introduced the McDLT, short for McDonald's lettuce and tomato, with a gimmick that was as ambitious as it was odd. Packaged in a large, double-sided styrofoam container, the burger was split into hot and cold compartments. One side kept the beef patty warm, while the other preserved the lettuce, tomato, and buns chill. The idea was to let customers assemble the perfect fresh-hot burger. Unfortunately, the cumbersome packaging, environmental backlash over styrofoam, and overall impracticality made it more of a nuisance than a novelty. Consumers found the extra step unnecessary, and the burger failed to stand out in taste. By the early 90s, the McDLT was pulled, remembered more for its packaging controversy than culinary creativity.
The DeLorean. Gull-wing doors rise effortlessly, beckoning you inside. The sleek, stainless steel DeLorean.
Few cars have achieved pop culture fame while also being a massive commercial flop like the DeLorean DMC-12. Released in 1981, it appeared to belong in the future, thanks to its gull-wing doors, brushed stainless steel body, and sci-fi aesthetics. However, under the hood, it told a different story. Its 130 horsepower engine was sluggish, its build quality inconsistent, and the $25,000 price tag, a premium at the time, didn't help. Worse, John DeLorean's arrest on drug trafficking charges, he was later acquitted, tarnished the brand overnight. Despite its legendary role in Back to the Future, fewer than 9,000 units were sold before the company folded in 1982. The DMC-12 is now iconic, but it flopped spectacularly as an actual product. If the DeLorean was flashy but flawed, could the Sinclair C5 be the electric answer no one asked for? It was marketed as a revolutionary personal electric vehicle, but the Sinclair C5 turned out to be one of the most mocked transport innovations of the 1980s. Released in 1985 by British tech entrepreneur Sir Clive Sinclair, this battery-powered tricycle promised affordable, eco-friendly travel. Instead, it delivered a dangerous, low-speed, weather-exposed vehicle that sat so low on the road that drivers couldn't see it. Lacking seatbelts or adequate safety features, it was ridiculed as a glorified lawn chair on wheels. At just 15 mph top speed, it didn't fit on roads or sidewalks comfortably. Sales were dismal, only about 12,000 units were sold, and production ceased the same year. The C5 is now a cautionary tale of bold ideas with poor execution.
The Power Glove for your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Gamers in the late 80s were promised a futuristic experience with the Nintendo Power Glove, but what they got was glitchy, gimmicky frustration. Launched in 1989, the Power Glove allowed users to control NES games using hand gestures. Marketed with high-tech flair and memorable slogans like, "Now you're playing with power," it was undeniably cool-looking. But its controls were clunky and inaccurate, and very few games were compatible. Users often struggled with calibration, and the gesture recognition barely worked. Despite strong marketing and tie-ins with movies like The Wizard, it sold fewer than 100,000 units in the US. It's remembered more for its nostalgic charm than functionality. A great idea, years ahead of its time, that failed to deliver where it mattered.
Zenith announces the most amazing video recorder yet. The new video director with Speed Search. The special Speed Search picture moves at about 10 times normal speed.
In the early days of home computing and media convergence, Zenith attempted to pioneer the future with its Video Information System, VIS, in 1983. The concept was a console-like multimedia platform for interactive learning, video playback, and light computing tasks. Despite being backed by Microsoft's early multimedia software efforts, the VIS suffered from several setbacks. It was expensive, underpowered, and lacked compelling content. The interface was clumsy, and it couldn't compete with the rising popularity of personal computers or game consoles. Additionally, the market wasn't ready for hybrid home media systems, especially one with limited software support. Sales were nearly non-existent, and the VIS quietly disappeared from shelves, becoming one of the many obscure casualties of premature tech ambition.
He said, no, it's actually a powerful computer with a fully fledged word processor. And he said it can run a spreadsheet, has massive databases, will manage your diary, and even has a telephone dialer.
At first glance, the Scion Series 3A seemed poised to define mobile computing. Released in 1989, this clamshell-designed personal digital assistant, PDA, offered a backlit LCD screen, full QWERTY keyboard, diary, spreadsheet, and even programming tools, all in a pocket-sized form. It ran on AA batteries and featured an innovative multitasking OS. However, it never achieved widespread success. The reasons were many: limited brand recognition outside the UK, a steep learning curve, and software incompatibility with mainstream systems like Windows. Its pricing also didn't help. It was too expensive for casual users and lacked the horsepower for business professionals. Despite being technically ahead of its time, the Scion 3A never broke through the PDA mainstream and was ultimately overtaken by Palm and Windows CE devices.
working on it, huh?
No, I used my new Lisa personal computer.
A personal computer did all of that?
That's right.
Incredible.
Heralded as the future of computing, the Apple Lisa debuted in 1983 with bold ambition and a price tag to match. It was the first commercial computer to feature a graphical user interface, GUI, and a mouse, setting the stage for how we interact with computers today. But at $9,195, over $25,000 today, it was far too expensive for businesses or home users. It also suffered from sluggish performance and software incompatibility. While innovative, the Lisa was simply too ahead of its time in both design and cost. Apple only sold around 10,000 units before discontinuing it in 1986. Though it paved the way for the Macintosh, the Lisa itself failed miserably as a commercial product despite its technological brilliance. If Lisa was too complex and costly, could Timex's dirt-cheap Sinclair 1000 hit the right note with newbies?
Now, Timex brings the power of the computer within reach of more people than ever before. Introducing the Timex Sinclair 1000.
In a world just waking up to personal computing, the Timex Sinclair 1000 promised to bring the future into homes at a low price. But the reality didn't match the dream. Released in 1982 for under $100, it was one of the cheapest computers on the market. Its 2 KB of RAM, a membrane keyboard, and black and white TV output were woefully underpowered even for that era. Users were quickly frustrated by the slow performance, limited programming capabilities, and clunky design. While initial sales were strong due to the price point, disappointment followed soon after. It couldn't compete with the likes of Commodore or Apple. Within a year, Timex exited the computer business entirely, and the Sinclair 1000 was left in the dustbin of forgotten tech.
Module, belt, phaser, and helmet.
Introducing the ultimate game on planet Earth, Photon!
The mid-1980s were ripe for high-tech play, and Mattel's Photon laser tag was supposed to revolutionize children's games with live-action laser combat. Introduced in 1986 as a tie-in to the short-lived Photon TV show, it featured futuristic vests and blasters that tracked hits through infrared signals. But poor accuracy, high cost, and cumbersome equipment made it more frustrating than fun. Its large gear required lots of space, and indoor play was nearly impossible. Additionally, batteries drained quickly and the equipment was fragile. Without enough marketing push or real support from the failing show, Photon faded fast. It was ultimately overshadowed by Laser Tag, a similar, better-executed rival, leaving Mattel's product a neon-lit memory of failed innovation. Trying to bridge the gap between video entertainment and interactivity, the ViewMaster Interactive Vision hit shelves in 1988 with modest fanfare. This odd hybrid device combined VHS tapes and a console system to let children interact with shows like Sesame Street by using a joystick controller. The catch? The choices were extremely limited, more like branching narratives than true gameplay, and the hardware relied on standard VCRs, which made syncing difficult. Priced higher than most families were willing to pay for such a niche experience, it was quickly overshadowed by Nintendo and Sega's immersive consoles. With few titles, clunky design, and a very specific age demographic, the Interactive Vision flopped hard, remembered more as a curiosity than a game changer.
Get the touch of the healthy-looking shimmery hair. Get the rich shampoo with a touch that's new.
What sounded like a wholesome, natural beauty innovation turned out to be a marketing disaster. Clairol's Touch of Yogurt shampoo launched in 1980, banking on the rising trend of yogurt-based skincare. Unfortunately, the product name confused and repelled consumers. Many mistakenly believed the shampoo actually contained real yogurt, raising concerns about spoilage, odor, and bacteria. Some even joked about putting it in the fridge. While the formula itself wasn't inherently bad, the unappetizing association between dairy and hair care proved too odd for mass appeal. sales plummeted quickly, and the product was quietly pulled from shelves. Today, it serves as a case study in how poor branding can sabotage even well-intentioned innovation. But did Ford survive? In an attempt to target young single drivers with a sporty yet economical ride, Ford introduced the EXP Sport Coupe in 1982. Marketed as a personal sports car, the EXP was essentially a two-seater version of the Ford Escort. It looked sleek from a distance, but under the hood it lacked muscle, featuring a weak 1.6L four-cylinder engine that made for sluggish performance. Consumers expecting excitement were left disappointed by its lack of power and uninspired handling. Additionally, its cramped interior and poor rear visibility hurt its appeal. Despite receiving facelifts and upgrades through the mid-1980s, the EXP never caught on with buyers and was discontinued in 1988. Ford misjudged the market, and the EXP stalled before it ever gained traction. When Quasar released the VR100 camcorder in 1985, it was hoping to ride the wave of home video's growing popularity. However, the VR100 was bulky, heavy, and required a separate shoulder-mounted VHS recorder pack, making it cumbersome for family use. Its low-light performance was subpar, battery life was laughable, and the price hovered near $1,500, making it inaccessible to most consumers. While it boasted cutting-edge tech, it was quickly eclipsed by lighter, all-in-one camcorder models from Sony and Panasonic. By the time people warmed up to the idea of owning a camcorder, the VR100 was already outdated. Quasar's attempt to innovate ended up in clearance bins and garage sales, failing to leave a lasting impression on the home video revolution. Outdated optics aside, could Microsoft's very first Windows OS truly window us into the future?
How much do you think this advanced operating environment is worth? Wait just 1 minute before you answer. Watch as Windows integrates Lotus 123 with Miami Vice.
While it's now a global operating system giant, Microsoft's first foray into graphical interfaces, Windows 1.0, was met with lukewarm reception. Released in 1985, it attempted to offer a GUI over MS-DOS, but was painfully limited. Users couldn't overlap windows, only tile them. It required a mouse, still rare in homes at the time, and performance was slow. There was also very little compatible software, making it more of a tech demo than a practical tool. Critics found it clunky and underwhelming compared to Apple's Macintosh interface. Although it set the stage for future versions, Windows 1.0 sold poorly and failed to disrupt the market. It wasn't until Windows 3.0 in 1990 that Microsoft finally struck the right chord with users.
On main viewer now, Captain. It appears to have dual control pedals. Plus, it's powered by ROM cartridge. Scan reveals lifelike picture.
Hoping to break into the console market, British electronics company Amstrad launched the GX4000 in 1989, but it was dead on arrival. Built on the 8-bit CPC architecture at a time when 16-bit systems like the Sega Genesis and SNES were rising, the GX4000 felt instantly outdated. Though it featured sleek, futuristic design and came bundled with the game Burnin' Rubber, its library was extremely limited, mostly ports of old CPC titles with minor graphical improvements. Compounding the issue, it was overpriced for its underwhelming performance. The system also struggled with distribution and marketing outside the UK. By 1991, it was discontinued with fewer than 40 games released. Despite its ambition, the GX4000 became one of Europe's most forgettable gaming misfires.
To be the peak of financial and creative success for Franklin Computer Corporation's bid for a portion of the personal computer market.
In the early 80s, Franklin boldly cloned Apple's popular Apple II computer and called it the Franklin Ace 1000. It was nearly identical in design and functionality, right down to the ROM, which Apple claimed was directly copied without permission. Initially, Franklin argued that software couldn't be copyrighted, but the courts disagreed. The 1983 lawsuit Apple Computer, Inc. v. Franklin Computer Corp. became a landmark case in software copyright law, forcing Franklin to stop producing its Apple clones. Even before the legal troubles, the ACE 1000 had issues, such as compatibility glitches, limited support, and consumer confusion. What could have been a budget-friendly alternative ended in a major legal defeat and commercial flop, with the ACE 1000 vanishing almost as quickly as it appeared.
Last year, we asked our competition to pick the best personal computer based on price and memory. They all chose the Commodore 64. With all the changes in the computer industry, we thought we'd better check again.
A rare relic that never saw mass production, the Commodore LCD, liquid crystal display computer, was intended to be the company's first portable device. Introduced in 1985, it featured a monochrome LCD screen, 32 KB of RAM, a basic interpreter, and a lightweight clamshell design ahead of its time. Unfortunately, Commodore pulled the plug before full launch, citing concerns over production costs and the already crowded portable computing market. Its limited capabilities compared to bulkier but more powerful luggables like the Compaq Portable also hurt its prospects. With only a handful of prototypes made, the Commodore LCD became a ghost product, ambitious yet aborted. Today, it's a fascinating what-if in computing history, remembered more for its promise than for any real-world impact.
Give up my Atari?
My television?
How about for this?
You bet your asteroid.
Introducing the revolutionary Vectrex arcade system.
Breaking away from traditional consoles, the Vectrex, launched in 1982 by General Consumer Electronics, offered something truly unique, a built-in vector graphics screen. Unlike pixel-based visuals, vector lines gave the games a crisp, arcade-style look. It even included a joystick docked into the system and had add-ons like 3D goggles. Despite its innovation, the timing was disastrous. The video game crash of 1983 devastated the market, and the Vectrex's $200 price tag didn't help. Its monochrome display required color overlays, which felt gimmicky. The game library was small and lacked major third-party support. Though critically praised, it couldn't survive the crash and was discontinued by 1984. It remains a cult favorite today, but commercially, the Vectrex was a brilliant failure.